We're now going to look at question 2 on page 472. The question says, on the previous page, you used a visual model to solve a word problem involving dividing a whole number by a unit fraction. You can also use equations to represent and solve these types of problems. Consider this word problem. Micah now runs in a 5-mile race. There are water stops every 1/3 mile and at the finish line. In the new race, how many water stops are there in all? So again, this problem is very similar to the first one. We have Micah running a race and there are water stops. The difference is that this race is now 5 miles long. And the water stops are going to be every 1/3 of a mile. So I want you to look at parts A, B, and C. I would like for you to push pause on the video, go back and reread the problem to yourself, and complete these 3 parts. Once you have done so in your workbook, come back to the video and press play and we'll go over it. All right, welcome back. So again, we're looking at question 2. It says Micah now runs in a 5-mile race. There are water stops every 1/3 mile and at the 5-mile finish line in the new race. How many water stops are there in all? So in part A, it says let's create a division problem. So first, we need to think about how long the race is. And we know that the race is 5 miles long. The second part here, it says fraction of a mile for each water stop. So we know that we have to take our 5 miles and divide it up into 1/3 pieces. This is going to help us figure out how many total water stops there are. So as you remember from last week and from previous lessons, you can use the inverse operation or multiplication to help you solve these types of problems. So you were asked in part B to complete the multiplication equation below. So we're going to think about the miles in a race, and we know that there are 5 miles in a race. Number of water stops in each mile. So here, you're having to think about not the size of the pieces, but how many pieces are there in each mile. And in this case, those pieces represent the water stops. So you should have figured out that there are 3 water stations or stops in each mile. And if I have 5 miles, that means it's going to be repeated 5 times. So in part C, how many water stops are there in the race? You should have gotten 15. And one example could be for an explanation that there are 5 miles and there's 3 water stops in each mile.